What's going on, family? This is Derek L. McRae. That's right. I'm coming to you today with a new podcast. I'm excited about today's discussion. What I need you to do is I need you to get everybody you know connected because we're about to dive into some stuff. It ain't no telling what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, but know that at the end of the day, it's going to be something that hopefully will benefit all of us. So I want you to go ahead, get your family, your friends, tell everybody to jump in because we got a lot to say, a little time to say it. It's the podcast. That's right. Unscripted. What's going on, good people? Listen. It's that time of the week again. We're preparing ourselves now for another podcast. Listen, I am super excited that you've decided to join in with us. So much has happened. The weekend was a blast. Labor Day weekend. A lot of people got away and did a lot of good things. I know Florida A&M was down in Miami playing Jackson State for the Orange Blossom Classic. Man, after all the predictions about Jackson State and this phenomenal team they had, we only saw them boys put up 7 points. FAMU Rattlers, man, hats off to you. You still yet done a great job. I pray to everybody that went down to Miami and was hanging out and doing all that partying. I hope y'all quarantining. Matter of fact, you still need to be in your house today. You still should be in your house today from all that partying you all did. But overall, it was a great event, great time. Great to see black college football on national TV. Hats off to ESPN. Thank you to Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, for being the segue to help us get some things like that done, man. But a lot has happened. Also, we're definitely paying our tributes and giving respect out to none other than Michael K. Williams, guest star from The Wire, better known as the one word Omar. He died and he was 54 years old. I believe he was 54 years old. Phenomenal actor. What most people don't know, he's also a dancer as well. But he has a very interesting story, even down to how he got the scar on his head, which happened through a fight that took place. Man, it's amazing to see, but it just shows you just how much people are dealing with things, struggling with things, because he was open and candid about his drug addiction as well. And so it just shows that no matter how well you think people are doing in life, keep them in prayer because you never know what people are really dealing with in life. And so, our prayers go out to the family and to all those that were affected by Mr. Michael Williams as well. All right, but let's jump into this today. Our spotlight. Our spotlight is a real interesting story, man. I'm really excited about this story here. It's Christopher Lamarck. He opened this coffee, hip hop, and mental health cafe. It's a non-profit organization in the city of Chicago, Chi-Town, where every hip hop inspired drink is sold to help fund free therapy sessions for individuals in need. Here's the interesting thing about this story. What's really interesting about this story is how he got to this place of even discovering his abilities to do this. We find that Mr. Lamarck, he was dealing with this trauma. He was dealing with this situation. He was depressed, and he actually kind of ventured out and even contemplated suicide and some different things of taking his life. He finally found himself doing something that a lot of African Americans struggle with, and that is going to find professional help. Yeah, I love going to pastors. I love going to family and friends. It's good to have your colleagues. All those are great. You need all those as well. But there are some cases that are necessary for us to get professional medical treatment. He dared to go out and get some medical treatment, and when he went and did so, we found that he literally became inspired by what his therapist told to him. She told him to go back and literally begin to venture out to write out some different things. And he began to use some of the tools that are right around him. He began to write out about coffee. Yeah, imagine this. This guy is having his breakdown at Starbucks. His therapist returns him back to the location that he was having his trauma and simply tells him, I want you to start writing out some issues and some things about coffee. Man, he's so creative. He began to do so, and as he began to do it, he began literally to find himself making these hip-hop tones and temperatures, and it really began to affect his life. It began to expand him in such a way, and now he's taken what was seemingly to be evil and made it work out for good for him. All I want to say to you is no matter what you're dealing with, I want you to understand that usually the cures to our cautions are right around us. The things that we are really dealing with are usually right around the corner. Our solutions are a lot closer than we think. And so I want you to never, ever get overwhelmed. It's good to seek professional advice find places that will really begin to help you. But I also want you to understand that your transition, the thing that you need, the thing that you desire, the placement that you want to be in life is usually not far away from you. So hats off again to Mr. Lamarck, Christopher Lamarck, man. Great job that you're doing, man. We applaud you. We appreciate you today. And I'm glad that you've set the standard for all of us to know that you really can get through your issues if you simply reach out for somebody to help you. So again, hats off to Mr. Christopher Lamar in Chicago. That's the Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health organization. Make sure if y'all in Chi-Town, y'all go check him out as well. Listen, let me jump into something a little controversial today. And so today we know our title for today's hip hop, our title for today's broadcast, sorry, not the hip hop, but the broadcast today is In My Feelings. We're talking strong today about being in our feelings. And my counsel me culture moment today is it's okay with being selfish. It's okay to be selfish at some parts of time in your life. Let's deal with that for a moment, because we're so taught to be considerate. We're so taught to be mindful. We're so taught to look externally for everybody else that at moments, the strong person needs some strength. There are moments that even as you're trying so hard to be helpful, to considerate, and mindful of other individuals, that you find sometimes you feel left out. And so I want to tell you today that I believe it's okay for you to have selfish moments. There's nothing wrong with being selfish. We all need a little focus on me kind of time. We all need a moment that we begin to really look into what makes us happy. I live by this theory, and my theory is this: can't nobody be happier for me than I can be for myself. And I need you to catch that. Can't nobody be happier for you than you can be for yourself. We tend to be happy for other people. We tend to try to do things to help other people be happy. But at some point in time, you got to be equally committed to your happiness as you are to other people and their happiness. Because here's the truth that I've learned. I've learned that if I keep pouring so much into you and I don't invest enough into me, I no longer have anything to pour back into you. So I want to encourage you today, don't cancel me. I want to encourage you to be selfish every once in a while. At least sometimes, just get away, do your own thing. Explain it to nobody. Give nobody a justification for why you want to do what you want to do. Have some me time, have some selfish moments, because I believe it's absolutely necessary. That's just my opinion. Don't cancel me. That's just my opinion. Let's dive into this today. I really want to talk to you a little bit today about, we're talking about in my feelings. My story for today comes from a real aggravating moment. Since we're right here in the midst of football season, there is nobody on this earth that can seem to get under my skin like my mama. Nobody on this earth that seems to be able to get under my skin like my mama. She has a way, like it's almost like the Lord has anointed her to aggravate the hell out of me at moments, especially as it relates to football season. Now let's get this right. My mom raised me on the Dallas Cowboys. She's a Dallas Cowboy fan. She raised me on the Dallas Cowboys. Ed Too Tall Jones, Emerson Walls, Bill Bates, Drew Pearson, Tony Hill, even that quarterback, Danny White. My mom raised me on these guys. I had a bicycle when I was young, a Dallas Cowboys bicycle. I had Dallas Cowboy pajamas. I had Dallas Cowboy helmet. I had everything Dallas Cowboys. But as this lady got older, man, she became a bandwagon Willie. Yeah. She literally jumps on whatever team is on the way to the Super Bowl for that year. That's not the bad part for me. The bad part is she turns because I'm a diehard fan. I'm not one of y'all people that just like players, like some of y'all like whatever team LeBron on. No, that's not me. I'm an Orlando Magic fan, come hell or high water. And most time it's come hell because we don't have too many high waters. And so I'm a diehard Magic fan. I'm a diehard Cowboy fan. And my mom likes to look at our team and she likes to dig in at me because she knows that I'm so diehard. And when she starts saying things, it gets to me because I recognize that she's trying to aggravate me. But I always seem to surrender to that junk. I always surrender to that and I feed back. So I start snapping back at her and I start saying stuff and she'll say stuff like, I'm just saying your team is garbage. Y'all really suck. Y'all really are horrible. Y'all said that last year. And the bad part about it, what she's saying is true, but ain't nobody trying to hear that junk. She really, really, really gets under my skin. And before I know it, sometimes I'm not enjoying myself on a Sunday at her house for dinner. Sometimes I'm about ready to crank the car up and leave and go my various ways. But when we winning, oh my gosh, I dig it in deep on her. I go for the gusto on her when we winning because she really be making me get in my feelings. She really, and the bad part about it is, I don't even know why I'm arguing with her because she ain't loyal to nothing but a conversation about the Cowboys. That's the only thing she loyal to. But I found that oftentimes we allow ourselves to get into our feelings, man, because we care about a few things and because of the fact that we recognize some of that stuff be true. So, as we dive into today's discussion, matter of fact, let's go there now. I want to talk about, I want to give you first some interesting surveys. Let me give you some interesting surveys. These statistics really begin to catch me off guard. Here's the first one. The first statistic says that most men would rather feel respected than love. Most men would rather feel respected than love. And according to a national study of men, when faced with the choice between feeling either alone and unloved or inadequate and disrespected, 74% of the men chose alone and unloved. This means that by a margin of 3-1, note this, that American men would rather know that people respect them than to know that they love them. Very interesting statistic to me. This can create tension in a relationship. This literally can create tension within a relationship, especially one where a man doesn't know how to express a need to feel respected. He may be able to sense that something is missing from his emotional fulfillment without fully understanding that he wants to feel like he's earned the respect of the one that he's with. That's an interesting statistic. But watch this one. Another statistic showed that most women wonder if they are really even loved. Now, this really got me here because with all the stuff that men do, with all the stuff that family members do around them, most women really wonder if they're really loved. A national survey of women found that a whopping 82% of women surveyed regularly or sometimes feel insecure in their husband or their significant other's love. Men will often take it for granted that their partner knows and trusts that she's loved, but the survey results, they really don't lie. Insecurity in a relationship is extremely common for women, and men can't work hard enough at helping their significant others lay those fears to rest. But note this survey here. Most women would rather their husbands focus on the family than to focus on work. Now, I don't know how true this one is, but this is what it says, that most women would rather their husbands focus on the family than work. Despite the intense pressure men put on themselves to provide, 70% of women, they say that they rather their husbands or their significant others take a lower paying job than to let them be out of the house at late hours or just multiple hours. This really began to get me because as I look at these things, I see just how men think and I see how women think. I see how communications can be just totally on different perspectives. I see how men have certain expectations and women have certain expectations, but it does not mean that we're communicating correctly. A few years ago, I had a chance to do this test called a love language test. And then this love language test is literally a moment that we take, that we begin to see what we really like. Because there's different ways that we communicate. And sometimes we're trying to say that we love somebody or we're trying to express that we're concerned or care about somebody. But it don't mean that they're receiving it like we're trying to say it, which means that it's significant for us to spend some time making sure that we know how to communicate what we're trying to say. Now, that sounds like a tongue twister, but knowing how to communicate what we're trying to say, because a lot of times we got it in our head, but it just don't come out our mouth right. Or we got it in our head and it don't come out of our activities always appropriately. And so we have to learn how to properly communicate what we're saying. And the form of communication is not just about having talks. It's really about us having understandings. Communications is understandings, not just conversations, because a lot of people talk about stuff, but it don't mean people receiving stuff, don't mean people understanding stuff, don't mean people coming to the right placement. This is one of the reasons why I hate, let me say it again, I hate communicating through text, because text messages give you such an opportunity to find yourself in your own feelings. And sometimes you're upset with something and the person didn't even intend to say like how you interpreted it. That's why that voice interaction is real positive. It's real powerful. We need to make sure that we're hearing the voice and don't just allow technology and social media to take away our voice so that other people have now space for interpretations. A lot of times we're into our feelings because of the fact that we just misunderstood each other. But even digging deeper into this, I found something. Urban Dictionary declares that when we say I'm in my feelings, Urban Dictionary states that being in your feelings means to be extremely emotional. It literally means to be stirred up for no reason. And it also means that we are usually overreacting. I'm going to say it again. It means to be extremely emotional. It means to be stirred up for no reason. And it also means to be overreacting to situations. And it's usually stemming from somebody who's complaining. That's what in my feelings really mean. I'm not dealing with what Drake's song says today. I'm just dealing with the fact that in my feelings tends to come from a misunderstanding. It comes from a lapse or a lack of communication. We're lost on some various factors. And we're usually trying to discover how the other person really feel, because we usually are interpreting what we see to mean what they mean. We're interpreting what we see to mean what they really want to say or want to express. I found that two reasons really begin to bother us, and two reasons really leads us into being in our feelings. The first reason that I found is because we really care about the subject that's being discussed. Because we care so much about the subject that's being discussed, we get frustrated oftentimes with how the conversation is carrying on. We get flustered because the truth is it's a sensitive situation. And when it's a sensitive situation, we tend to deal with sensitive topics with a strong sense of sensitivity. So we tend to deal with those things very, 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 very dear to our heart. We're real close. We're real guarded with it because we feel some type of entitlement to hold it strong, to keep it dear. And so it really begins to bother us because of the fact that we really do care about it. We're sensitive about it. These are usually like placements and things that we've been through in life and things that we've discovered. Sometimes it's unruly places that we've had to exist. It may be from some childhood situations. And we got to be careful of the triggers that bring back up emotions and reactions, because a lot of times we're dealing with stuff that really is not even made to be dealt with anymore. Like we've literally come over those things. We've conquered those things. But when you have conquered things, you also have to be satisfied with the progress that you had, so that when things come back up, you don't become so sensitive. You don't become so in my feelings about things, because you've actually graduated from that used to bother you. Here's my question for you. Have you really graduated from things? Because when you've graduated from things, they don't bother you like they used to. You know, somebody who's already experienced something, they don't look at a new experience the same way they do when it's a repetitive experience. When it's something they've seen before, they tend to be able to conquer it better. They tend to be able to go through it better. And a lot of us are in our feelings because we never, ever satisfied how we felt the first time that we went through it. And you got to learn how to not make everything so sensitive. The second thing that I found in this is also that a lot of people, we become in our feelings because of the fact that we really care about the person who we having the topic with. We are so strong on making sure we paint the picture to look a certain way to people we love. And because of that, when they highlight something that may be true, we become sensitive because we don't want them to see us sometimes in our naked truth. We don't always want them to see us in our inabilities or in our failed moments. We don't want to be discovered in the things that are not perfected and the perfections of us. And so because of the fact that we're trying to guard an image and keep up a certain perspective, sometimes we really begin to get in our feelings as a measure of defense. It's a mechanism that we use called defense. We begin to hold our dukes up, but because we can't put our hands up because we're gonna look crazy, we then put our confidence up and we start to say different things. We start becoming combative in our conversations because we really are trying to keep ourselves from being exposed. And sometimes that exposure can be the best thing for you, because sometimes that exposure can push you to the place that you really want to be, but you just haven't known how to pull the walls down to become. And so I found that those are the two reasons that most times we find ourselves in our feelings. First, again, it's because of the fact that we're dealing with the fact that the subject matter that we're discussing is something that is still sensitive to us. We got to learn how to heal from that stuff. We got to learn how to get over those things. We should not allow anybody or anything to treat us like puppets. When I was growing up, we used to always see the puppet shows, and now they have them sometimes in youth ministries. And the truth is, no matter how the character looks on stage, it is always somebody else controlling it. And a lot of us, we are simply the puppets, and we've given the strings to somebody else who's our master, and they're controlling us. Maybe it's not the person, but maybe it's the situation. Maybe it's the heartbreak. Maybe it's the hurt. Maybe it's the disappointment that we've gone through in the past. And we're giving those controls to something else or someone else. And they literally are making us dance to their own beats. Today, I'm saying to us, but we got to learn how to get over those things. It may be through prayer. It may be through counsel. It may be through us going through somebody else for some type of discussions. We may have to seek out some professional help. But all of us need to start to work to get ourselves to a place where we're not so emotionally driven, but we're focused. We're able to think. We're able to talk ourselves through some things. We're able to channel our energy to positive places, because all stress ain't bad stress. It's all about how you categorize the stress. And so we got to learn, how do we push ourselves to positions for us to be better? And then the second thing is we got to understand that we really can be comfortable, man, with people knowing sometimes the worst of us, and it still don't get the best of us. People knowing, like, don't trust the worst of you to everybody. But at the same time, those that you trust, you ought to be able to trust them with all of you. Those that you trust, there should not be a limitation on the trust. We get into our feelings because we really don't trust the vehicles in which we're talking to. We don't trust those vessels. We don't trust those individuals. And because we don't trust them, it bothers us when they discover something that we weren't ready to give to them yet. And so let's make sure that we're not in our feelings. And so today, let's sound the alarm. All right. So here's what we want to do. The first thing I think that we got to recognize is this. We got to recognize that we are not all alike. None of us are alike. Some of us come from different cities, different states. Some of us live in the same city, but we're from different neighborhoods. We don't all speak the same language. We don't all speak the same language. We don't all do the same things. We don't all have the same desires. We are different. And different does not mean it has to be difficult. Different can be literally an expansion of progress. We got to be able to settle with that. That different don't mean difficult. It can be an expansion of the process. And so we got to understand that we was raised differently. Man, listen, I was raised in Avon Park, Florida. So me being raised in Avon Park, I'm a good country boy. My grandma and granddad and my mama raised me as a good country boy. Now, fortunately, my brother, he was raised in Orlando. So he was raised as more of a city boy. So even though we have the same mom and dad, even though we have the same family members, because of the fact that I was born in Avon Park, raised down there, a little country boy, I was raised outside playing in the dirt and driving Matchbox cars around. My experiences are going to be a little different than what even my brother's experience is going to be. We're raised in two different generations as well. I'm older than him. I'm 18 years older than he is. So therefore, we're going to have different perspectives. The question is, why does different have to remain difficult? And it shouldn't remain difficult. It becomes difficult when people get into their feelings about something that is dear to their hearts. We got to learn how to embrace each other, our differences, and learn how do we make our differences work for us. We got to learn how to expand ourselves. And so what I recommend to us is, let's be open to selfless thinking. Let's be open to selfless thinking. What do you mean by that? Let's be open to not always thinking that every thought has to benefit me. Every thought might not benefit me. Every thought might not be in my best interests. Every thought might not be my big come up, but it does not mean that I should not embrace selfless thinking. Now, imagine a world that everybody embraces selfless thinking, that everybody starts thinking about neighbors. Everybody starts thinking about family members and friends. Everybody starts thinking about how can I help somebody else come up and do better. Imagine that. Now the weight is not on you to figure out how to make your life better by yourself, because you got a lot of people who are involved with you in the process. I want to challenge us. If everybody is thinking about selfless thinking, it means that we have a whole community of individuals who are coming together, and nobody is looking to point fingers, but everybody's looking to be lifting. When you have that kind of community happening, when you have that kind of environment taking place, you don't have no place anymore to be in your feelings. You're going to be comfortable with good criticism. Critique is fine for you. It's embraced and it's accepted. And so today, my challenge to us is this. Let's make sure that we are having selfless thinking. Let's also make sure we discover other languages. Let's recognize that everybody's not going to talk like us. Maybe we need to take the love language test so we can better communicate and we have less disappointments and we have less interactions that prove or show to us that somebody don't care as much for us. Because maybe you see it that way because you're trying to see love in your own lens. But you got to learn how to see love also through the lenses of somebody else. And last but not least, let's reduce our stress by focusing more on our mission. Let's reduce our stress by focusing more on the mission. And the Bible says something like this. And we know that all things work together for the good of them, to them that are called according to his purpose. So everything about my life works together for the good. If I stay focused on my mission, I recognize that sometimes to be good, you're going to have to deal with some things that don't feel great. Sometimes it's going to be some stuff that's going to come that you don't like, things you didn't expect. But let's not get into our feelings. Why? Because getting into our feelings shuts down the process of our development. I want to challenge you this week. Listen, let's find ways to expand ourselves. Let's open our minds, our understandings, our revelations. Let's literally develop the appetite of anticipation all over again. That everything that's happening to us is still working together for good for us. It has an ending result. And the ending result is it's going to work out good. So I ain't in my feelings, y'all. You know why? Because I'm focused on my mission. And I know that I'm surrounded by people who really care about me. So I want you all to please help me out this week. Go out, tell somebody else about the podcast. Share this today. When y'all are giving them 5 stars, I need y'all to give me some comments. Ask me questions. All right. I'm loving the questions that's coming in, but I want more questions. I want more interactions. I want more conversations. Why? Because you matter to me and I want to hear what you have to say. So until next week, listen, go Cowboys. Love, peace, hair grease, and lotion. All right. Love y'all. Take care. See y'all next week.